which, according to the letter, was 11:20 p.m. Indeed. In magic, timing is everything. Right. Consider the illusion of teleportation. If I were to appear on stage before my stunt double has left, how would that look? Why, it would reveal the very secrets of my magic.
You just did.
Yeah. Thanks for telling us you got a double, man. Now that you've revealed the very secrets of your magic for us all, let's move on. You made it a designated time, and what did you see? So you weren't worried about your own safety at all? You smelled gunpowder, yes? What if the shooter was still nearby? That was an interesting reaction. I did not consider this, to be honest. It is forbidden for a magician to have good imagination. Really? Isn't magic all about illusions and imagination? How about this? You were the shooter, which is why you weren't afraid. Now you are the one imagining. It is forbidden for a lawyer to have a good imagination.
The witness will refrain from pausing so suspiciously before responding.
Thank you, Judge.
My forbidden imagination is starting to imagine things.
And I like how he paused before saying that, too. Which brings us back to this reason neither of you could refuse.
Man, I could just enjoy this, you talking like 90% of the time.
Yep.
See, where's my cake?
See, it's reversed because there's a lot of the times it's just you talking. I'm just sitting over here just enjoying the show.
Yep.
So it does. And my partner, he did not refuse. McNiffy wrote the same thing to you. Why could you refuse it if Zach couldn't? Because I have will of steel, of course. But I also do this trick where I spend real steel bars. So perhaps steel isn't all strong. So which is it? Mind if I continue? The deal with the dead is still a deal. Death's sweet kiss I gave to the clown. Wait. So he's saying he's the one that shot the clown.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. But we don't really have any way to prove that.
We have the gun that shot the clown.
No, we don't.
We don't have the gun that shot.
It hasn't been given.
We only have the gun that shot the murderer.
Zach didn't give us the gun. But we don't have that bullet yet either. Unless we could demand a ballistics marking test get done and prove it's a different gun. There were 2 bullet holes at the scene, one in the victim and one in the clown. You're saying the one who shot the clown was you. No doubt my partner Zach has said much the same thing. Yeah, because whoever didn't shoot the clown committed murder. Better dig around here a bit more and see what I can turn up. Mr. Fallon, let me ask something else about the crime scene.
The number of pistols? Because maybe you want him to admit that there's 2. And we get the possibility of a second one, and then we ask him where the second one is.
Yeah, probably. How many pistols were there when you entered the room? By which you mean what, precisely? 2 pistols were used in a Zach and Valent's quick draw shoot 'em, correct? 1 for each of you. You were well informed, yet only one of my old friends sat atop the hospital room that night. What did Zach tell me back in the lobby?
There were 2.
No intention of shooting my mentor. Yep.
I see no problem with the statement. Only one pistol is visible in the photograph at the crime scene, after all.
So you picked up that pistol and fired it? Indeed I did. Arakazam, Arakazani, Arakaboom.
Is the number of the pistols really so important? It's quite important.
Number of pistols is quite important, Your Honor.
Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony.
What can I do but obey? We don't have Zach's thing.
We don't have his gun. But we know there's something wrong with it. Right? So let's cycle through our evidence and maybe we'll find something. So maybe the photo on this
Wait,
one.
if there was only one gun at the scene, and the gun that was fired was the one that killed him, that's the gun that killed. There's only one gun
he had access to.
And the gun that was there is the one that killed him. According to the defendant, Zach Gremarai, when he entered the room, there were 2 pistols on the table.
2?
One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then he left with it in his pocket. Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume that our defendant had some brains in his head. Well, what about what Mr. Valent has told us? You see, there's something about his testimony that doesn't make sense. What might that be? I told you, I took the pistol that was there and shot the clown. That's your story, at least.
There it is.
But the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Valent. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's gun with the bullet fired from the gun. The rifle marks on the bullet were a perfect match. Mr. Valent, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead.
Order, order, order. Well, this is all rather subtle.
What have I done?
Prosecutor Gavin.
I owe the court an apology. Sorry. Sorry for what? You see, I was unaware that that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of rifle marks only proved the type of the gun that fired them. Bull crap, Clavier. Bull crap. Bull crap. You can't say that now. Found one more bullet. Barrel marks matched the bullet found. You confirmed the shot in his head came from that exact pistol. You confirmed it. You said the second bullet that was found in a clown was unchecked yet, but it came from the same one. But that's not what you told us before.
Exactly.
You said you verified the murder weapon. Which is why I'm apologizing to you now. Quite sincerely, I might add. Too convenient. Now, this would not hold up. The prosecutor's case would be quashed at this point.
Yep.
Would you hold me accountable for a mistake made in my use? That was just this morning. I am still young. And I might add, it wasn't really my fault. The defendant had only admitted he took the pistol from the scene of the crime. We would not be having this pleasant discussion now.
Valid grammar?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're presented this court as a decisive witness, but you're proven to be more divisive than decisive.
Objection!
You'll see in time. Testimony so far has merely been a review of the facts. The proof comes next.
Can you elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin?
When Mr. Valiant entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. His next testimony will prove the real fight is about to begin. I'm so used to air forehead, I started saying air forehead. It was like, nope, air right. Bring it.
Air right. Very well, the witness will now testify to the court. Help us determine who shot what.
I arrived at the hospital room at the appointed time, which is to say 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation, and then I called the doctor. The doctor examined the body before the police arrived. He was quite clear about the time of death, 1:10 p.m.
11:10.
And the one in the room at the time was my partner, not me.
Those times are rather close, you have to admit.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's saying like it was for sure 11:10, but the autopsy report doesn't agree. The autopsy report still has a range on it.
Yeah.
If the doctor at hospital was so certain, that time would have been used in the autopsy report.
We're talking about an alibi established over a matter of minutes. To use a 10-minute discrepancy as the basis of your alibi.
It's easy to explain in a situation there, Judge. For example, take our debut hit single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. Key the song, press the play button. It will play for 2 minutes 15 seconds. Do it 100 times, the result is the same. Their debut single was only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long? What a ripoff. Magic is a word of utmost precision. Hocus pocus requires admirable focus. And in a time of death determined by a doctor, there is incontrovertible truth.
Very well. The prosecution warns us that we're dealing with rather precise times. And we can expect a cross-examination to require the same level of precision.
I would hope the defense refrains from customarily broad, sweeping accusations. Lest we blur the focus this case was so clearly demands.
Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in a penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright.
Okay, so if we press, we might get punished. Got it. Carry on. Right.
Like his letter says.
Like, immediately, like, I just want to present the autopsy report here just because, like, 11:10 p.m. Or, like, it could just be a visual thing, but maybe that thing is out because it's after the thing was removed. Maybe that's why it's out, it's because the doctor removed it. 11:20 p.m. Can you prove that's when you arrived? Alas, my feet may be beyond even the great Valiant. There was no one in the room but Magnifi, and he was departed after the fast. I have here defendant Zach Gramaray's sworn deposition. I snuck into the room that night at the appointed time. It was 10 minutes before I left the room, and the victim was still alive.
The time indicated by this letter to Zach was 11:05 p.m.
Exactly. Which means that the witness could not have entered the room before 11:15. Because partner was still in the middle of his crime.
I see someone did their arithmetic homework.
You see, The defendant himself has corroborated the witness's testimony.
Is this where we present the forged evidence? Because that says 10 minutes.
Yeah, this could have been written after Zach left.
Yeah. I say we try it.
The only problem I see here is the glaring contradiction in that testimony.
Was that a question?
I guess it was. You've been warned, Air right? I'm too used to saying Air Forehead. Air right? Baseless remarks will be penalized. Okay.
Really?
You walk in on a murder, and the first thing you do is shoot the clown. The disciple does what the disciple must. My mentor's request. Without reason. Hold on. Why is... My mentor's request, without reason, had caused surfeit of sorrow. For what would I, Valiant, be now without him? With the soul I magnify the great, find the greater peace above. I muttered, this I muttered to myself as I pulled that lonely trigger. In any case, I believe there's nothing more than what we have already learned. I'm still waiting for one of those right moments there, attorney.
Can you go to the picture of the clown, like, just really quick for me? So I had a strange thought while you were narrating. Let's think what happened if our defendant actually shot the victim, and Valiant Grammari actually shot the clown, even doing what he said in the defense testimony here. How would our victim ensure that all the magic stuff went to Valiant without while he was dead?
Well, it went to Zach first, but Zach was not around to accept it.
Yeah.
And they had to wait for 7 years because Zach was missing.
No, but think about it this way, right? He has 2 guns, of which one of them takes a gun and shoots the clown, and our defendant gets out with the information he needs and a serious talk from him, right? But what would happen if our defendant actually was the murderer at 11:05, and then Valiant comes in, sees the body, and then shoots the clown or shoots him again? What if the clown had something inside it?
That you wouldn't be able to get it out with such a small hole there.
But maybe he would notice something, right? If he shot the clown in the forehead, maybe the clown had something on him, right? And if none of them shot the clown, nothing would ever be discovered.
I'm not sure.
I feel like he's a magician, and he had some sort of clue as to something in the clown that only the defendant has and Valiant does not. Just a thought. Because we have to think of, he's doing a test. How would he ensure that he wasn't killed while he was killed the first time? Did the second guy, if Valiant was worthy, so that Valiant would receive all the magic secrets? Just a weird thought. Could be in a whale or something, though. Proceed with that in mind.
Yes, Your Honor. What a pain does this turn out to be?
That's fine.
Did the doctor say anything concerning the cause of death? Why, yes. I believe he screamed. My God, he's been shot in the head.
I don't think a doctor would notice that. I probably would have screamed the same thing.
And I would have penned the requiem that arose in my soul at Ord sight. Whatever happened to good old-fashioned investigation? In any case, I believe this is nothing more than what we have all learned already. I'm still waiting for one of those right moments, there, attorney.
May I remind you that baseless remarks will earn penalties. Proceed with that in mind.
Yes, Your Honor. What a pain this turned out to be. I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How could a doctor be so precise with the time?
We usually only get an estimated time of death, true. I'm not sure I've ever heard a verified time of death.
Magic revels in making the complex appear simple, but reality is the opposite. What appears complex is in this case a simple matter of subtraction.
I see another person has done their arithmetic homework.
The point here is the IV the victim was taken. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene, because they're finally mentioning it. Recall what we learned earlier about the victim, Magnifique Grimmer's schedule. Every night at 11 p.m., Magnifique took an IV drip for 30 minutes.
I can see the IV bag right there, yes.
Now, look a little closer. Follow the tube down from the bag to the end.
Ah, the needle's been removed.
Doubtless it fell out when he was shot.
That would seem to be the case.
When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips. Ah, you could just measure the remaining IV liquid. Precisely. The IV liquid functions as for our purpose, as an hourglass of sorts. That's how the doctor determined the time of death. The amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after admission began. So it was I, Valiant, entered the room. 10 minutes had passed since the horrible crime was committed. I don't agree, because yeah, maybe I agree with the part where it's like, well, when the gun was fired, it fell out, but it wasn't him being shot. It was when Zack shot the clown, and Magnifi woke up, and it fell out then, even though it shouldn't fall out that easily.
What if the letter, the forged evidence, was supposed to say 15 minutes? Like the original letter that was in the page said I have 15 minutes left to live. And they changed it to 10. Just a weird thought. Well, Mr. Wright? Very important.
Well, seeing as how it is the biggest clue we have to the time of death, I'd say it's very important.
Agreed. It would be hard to imagine a more precise way to determine the time. Behold the power of arithmetic. Arithmetic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that arithmetic?
I've always said arithmetic, but I'm used to saying arithmetic series and... Right? The witness will add this detail to the testimony.
Sometimes the most magical things of all is the truth.
Wasn't he diabetic, though? Diabetes. Ivy stopped 10 minutes after administration began.
That would be around the time Zach would have fired his shot.
11:05 would go 11:15, right? So, assuming Zach shot on the 11:15 would be his actual time.
Well, no, this is 10 minutes after 11 that this would have stopped, which it would be 5 minutes after Zach arrived.
No, but 10 minutes have to pass in the IV, right?
Yeah, the IV starts at 11.
Yeah, you are right.
Zach arrives at 11:05. IV stops at 11:10.
So he'd have to be there for 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes had passed.
But he had, according to our defendant, he had a serious talk with him. That might have been 5 minutes, and then maybe he pulled out his own IV. It doesn't look that he said. Then he said he had 10 minutes to live, which would bring us to 11:20, and that's on the falsified evidence.
Yeah, we'll just press. Let's see what he says. Did you notice the IV by yourself? Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance? When I first entered the room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. Then, his left arm, I spy, a rose dropping, wilted. It's sworn, discarded the IV. You know. Not from the vein by the force of the shot, luckily for you. Now, if you had not been there, why, you might be a suspect. Indubitably so.
You.
I might say thanks to my lucky color.
Your lucky color?
Wait a minute. He's wearing yellow, and we were talking about a yellow envelope before. Oh boy. Your lucky color. Indeed. Even today, we're probably upon my suspect self. For it is always, without fail, bring me luck. Why, when Zack and Valiant won their first Magician's Grand Prix. Yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians. I was adorned with the attire then too, and our trophy was a bust. Ah, what a day that was. You sound a lot like Maximilian right there. This is one trip down memory lane that no one needs. Thank you, Phoenix. No one wants to relive that case 3. No one wants that. My lucky color, yes indeed. And that IV too. Say it was huge, especially for me, Valiant.
That does seem to be the case indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony?
Wait. He made a comment sound like the IV color was the same.
But it's green.
It's green, maybe? I mean, we had a tactical save, so we'll just test it out. Certainly sounds like your lucky color brought you plenty of luck. But not this time. Mr. Valiant, your lucky color betrayed you. I'm afraid you've lost me. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence.
What? Please recall my warning about the beginning of the cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I do hope this latest accusation is well-based.
Don't worry. Got all your bases right here.
Very well, let's hear the defense's claim. Where is your evidence that contradicts what Mr. Valiant has told us?
The crime scene tells all, Your Honor.
The photo of the crime scene?
All this talk of color has me yearning for black and white. Clear cuts, simplicity. Tell us there, right? Just where is the contradiction in this photo? My pleasure. And I assure you, it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white.
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What in this photo contradicts the witness testimony? Well, we don't have yellow, that's for sure.
Valiant grammar. Let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Kinda takes the mystery out of it, but yes.
Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright?
Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact. Take another look at the photo of the crime scene.
What's this?
Confusion, doubt. Tell us, what do your elderly eyes spy?
Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Valiant. Look at the IV bag.
What is this? What foul magic? Don't tell me Clavier's about to be like, oh, it was yellow when they put it in. It's just after time it changes color. I can see them doing that. I don't know if they will, but I can see them doing that. It'd be hard to call this IV liquid yellow. And I'm afraid no magic was involved in taking this photograph. Alakaz, no!
Bunnies come out of this fucking... Order. What does this mean?
This is some kind of mistake.
Yes, Prosecutor Gap. Your witness's mistake.
The greener they are, the harder they fall. Suppose there's no substitute for experience. Valiant Garmarai, as you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow. This IV is clearly not. Well, this contradiction can mean only one thing. And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright.
Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as this court can tell, the witness testimony does contradict the evidence.
Ha 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 ha. Yes, a contradiction. One thing that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright.
How do you mean? Oh, shit.
How do you mean? How? Because the victim has made no mistake. I agree at a glance the IV liquid does appear sort of greenish yellow. But I assure you, the liquid itself is quite yellow.
Yellow liquid? How can you say that? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green.
I think I might see it. I think I might get what's gonna happen here. Well, no, because it still came out at one time, so Valent still wouldn't have been there. It was like, was there still liquid in the pipe that he saw?
Maybe he only saw, if he shot him and the IV dripped out, he would say yellow.
Yes, but what color is the IV bag itself? Bag? You mean a plastic bag on a hook? He's gonna say it's blue.
So is he gonna say it makes yellow? That's so dumb.
Yellow plus
No,
blue is
I
green.
want to say it's light blue.
Precisely. Figure it out yet? Put a yellow liquid in a blue bag and you get green. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color.
I see.
But he still identified it as green, as yellow. Like if you're looking at that, you see it as green. How did he identify it as yellow? It still doesn't hold up.
Your explanation does have a ring of truth to it.
As I thought, there's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave. For you, that is.
I was thinking that. Because he proved the victim
Great.
saw the actual IV color.
The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes. But how did the witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the eye liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow?
There it is.
Ah, that is all.
The rabbits. Order, order, order. Mr. Wright, you will explain this at once. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid. So I sure it means something, but what?
I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Valiant Grammari, has testified that the IV liquid was yellow because it had to look yellow.
He'd seen it before.
Well, that would mean he would been at the scene earlier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd say it's the last one, actually.
From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because they'd seen it before. Not inside the blue bag we see in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag.
I suppose he would have to, but I'm not clear what this all means.
Ask yourself,
We're in a flashback.
why would he know if he didn't work at a hospital? That's where you find your meaning, Your Honor.
What?
I'm afraid I knew nothing. I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knew the IV liquid color? These are getting excited over absolutely nothing to our TD Bopper fans, yeah? The IV liquid is the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass was 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin.
I remember it well.
However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag. You can stop it from flowing.
Wait, I know. An hourglass uses sand, but an IV bag uses liquid. I'm right, right? Thank you, Judge.
As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike sands through an hourglass, IV liquids enter the patient's body, at which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in. Let me get this straight here, right? You're saying that the witness watered down the victim's IV bag? That makes sense.
Oh.
Not with water, but with IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow. Now wait! Wait, I say wait! How much an amateur such as myself has straight to perform such a task? I am an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup. I'm afraid there is quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite. Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat?
He has a point, amateurs. I at least would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag.
Don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added liquid to that IV bag to throw off the time of death. I'm tired of these fairy tales lacking evidence.
Earl must write any solid evidence that brings us down to earth.
Valiant Gramarai, I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in a life of crime. Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies upon props, and props become evidence. The syringe! Our witness clearly able to increase the amount of IV liquid. All he had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was this.
The victim's syringe.
The perfect prop for magically increasing IV. It's easy enough for an amateur to use. What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid in it. And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? Victor had his syringe administered his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Valiant Gramarai, you point out yourself that IV liquid makes the perfect cloak. One that you can manipulate at will. Arakaza!
I like the idea that there's just a bunch of birds in the courtroom now. I do believe, well, with this being his first, that the burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that while there is a doubt to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven. And that brings our trial to a close for today.
Well, maybe I could squeeze an extra day out of this. Do a little much-needed investigation work.
I see there are no objections. Court is adjourned.
Truly, there is no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise: underestimate the young, and they'll sweep your feet from under you in a way you never ever expected. You'll see, I know exactly what you're thinking. What's he talking about? You say the witness used a syringe to manipulate the level of IV liquid, but there's no proof. There's no proof he didn't do it either. Yes, quite true. Huh? He's admitting it? Nor was his witness quite as decisive as I hoped. This I admit. After all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much?
You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin?
Prove fair, Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less.
What's this?
This is the victim, Magnific Grammarai's diary. A diary? After going to the hospital, Magnific began writing his memoirs, and it seems. Story of his birth, his startling debut, and of the meeting his death. Scenes intended for the last chapter to end quite approximately with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? Remember why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on its last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we? We can see the page, the torn page. See. Tonight's IV is in. Maybe it's the last. I leave the rest to them. First should come soon. This journal might end here, or it may go on, but not long. It depends on his hand. All that is left to mine is to lay down this pen.
Hence the last page, hence 10 minutes. Which we think is 10 minutes.
We don't know when.
But we think it's 10 minutes, right? Based on the forged evidence. So we present our paper. The court accepts this as evidence.
Read the very last part with particular care. Yeah, we just read this. Of course, by his. He refers to our defendant, Zach Grummerai.
That would make sense, yes? He was the first scheduled visitor, after all.
But look at what he said before that. It may go. Maybe Grummerai intended to ride again. That is Zach Grummerai didn't pull the trigger.
Clearly a missing page.
I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Then explain the little terror mark right next to it, sir. Because McAfee's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Zach Grummerai. Not so fast.
Order. Prosecutor Gavin. Are you certain that Magnacy Grummerai wrote this?
There's no mistaking his handwriting.
Well, this does seem to be significant. According to this, Magnifici did intend to continue his diary. Yet if his diary ended here, which plainly it did...
Then the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zach Grummerai. Well, how do you like me now, Air Right? Still too green for your taste? He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that you overlooked such an obvious problem with this precious evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, the witness testimony we heard was lacking, but put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case.
If the diary is accepted like this, the trial is over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something. I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence.
What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary?
It's not too late to rethink and avoid more embarrassment.
Very well. Please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright.
Incidentally, don't even think of showing us this diary I've just shown the court. Now that we've come this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Show us evidence that proves that the victim continued writing his diary. Alright, I'd be happy to. If evidence proves that the diary didn't end with this page is...
The forged evidence.
First, take a close look at this diary. Note that the page has been clearly ripped off.
What's this? I didn't notice that at all.
That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what is believed to be the missing page. I don't believe it! Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine the first visitor that night shot at Magnifique Grummerai. That is the defense's position.
Wait, let me see that. What in Sam Hill? Why, this is a continuation of the victim's diary.
Note the torn end of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remains of the last page in Magnifi's diary. Quite remarkable. Would you care to explain what all this means, attorney? The diary continued after the first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Grummerai left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Val Grummerai. No. No!
The handwriting, too, matches that of the other pages. This is without a doubt the genuine article. Order, order, order!
But wait! This is impossible! That Almonan couldn't have written that.
Objection!
Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you, Airrat?
The trap.
Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Air Judge?
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin.
Minor request to put the current cross-examination on hold. Prosecutor would like to call a new witness.
What, Prosecutor Gavin? This evidence overturns the current witnesses.
I ask only to put it on hold. Please, my new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor. What's he up to?
Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this?
I wish we could say no, but it's probably going to make us allow it to happen. Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later. It might as well be sooner.
Then, though this is highly, highly irregular, we'll put the current cross-examination on hold. The witness may step down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, bring in the surprise witness to the courtroom.
Is it going to be Zach?
I think it's going to be Kristoff.
I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around. Oh, shoot.
Holding a trial with no audience is a first, even for me, Prosecutor Gavin.
I beg the court's understanding. But I had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony. A judiciary deal?
I guess I'll do him.
Details of his testimony may have some legal ramifications, shall we say. It was best to contain the information to this room.
Very well, and you are the witness, I gather. Ah, yes, sir.
Say your name and occupation for the record.
My name is Drew Misham. I'm a painter. A painter? And you somehow related to this case? No, well, not per se.
I have one simple question for the witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is?
Yeah, I know it well.
How's that possible? Have you seen his diary page somewhere before?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I made it.
I don't know if this would hold up.
It wouldn't.
In a real courtroom, like, prosecution's like, oh, I have another witness. I just need 5 minutes. And the witness comes and is like, oh, yeah, that evidence? Oh, yeah, I made that. That would not hold up. I don't think the prosecution would get away with it.
No.
You... what? You made it?
Yes, you might call it one of my works.
Prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Grimmerai.
Illegal evidence?
Initiated an investigation and found this witness. A painter to the world at large, Drew Michon, has another side, you might say. He's skilled in making perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words. Forgeries?
Well, so we were to understand that this page here is...
A fake. Prepared by a certain defense attorney. Hold it. I didn't prepare this evidence. Ah, the attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume? But what is it saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented this evidence to us, Phoenix Wright.
Witness, Mr. Misham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client?
He's gonna say us, isn't he? Oh, that's you.
That, I don't know.
What?
Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That's the extent of my contact with them.
But there's no proof this is a fake.
It's a fake.
Huh?
To avoid this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt, this is mine. What mark?
Tell us more.
Mr. Wright. You have just presented illegal evidence to this court, my court. Which shouldn't hold.
It was careless of me. That's all I can say.
Oh, old boy. Here. I don't know, I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair.
Who gave it to Trucy? It was all a trap. A fatal trap.
Mr. Wright?
Yes?
Do you have an explanation for yourself?
If I did, would the court hear it?
Probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime. And presenting it in court is a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney.
Fatal too? Perhaps for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer was quite clear. A guilty one. Objection! Your Honor, wait. I understand that presenting forged evidence in court is a serious crime. You cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual.
I am sorry, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor? Another close call, I dare say. The prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip. Everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, yeah? Who tipped them off? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself.
I see no need for further discussion on this matter. Special witness dismissed. Mr. Attorney,
Yes?
could I ask your name?
Phoenix Wright.
Mr. Wright, I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I'll remember you, Mr. Wright.
Hmm.
Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must. Ah, Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Zack. There is one thing I wish to make clear. Today in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible. I'm afraid the defendant is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you. Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict? When your defendant does not exist.
Is he not actually there?
Doesn't exist? What are you talking about? I am talking about this. Disappears.
He fled! Mr. Nigmar! The defendant escaped! Find him quick!
Bailiff, close all exits from the building.
He just gone.
On the double, he must not be allowed to escape.
That day, in the courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shade Enigmar, aka Zack Gramarai, did not just escape from the courtroom. He literally, unbelievably, vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again. Not since that day.
That is the Gramarai miracle. Ha 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 ha.
No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The trial of magician Zack Gramarai vanished, along with him for all eternity. Mysteries that remained behind were all solved, however, but not until 7 years later.
Oh, the implication is huge. I just realized.
Oh dear.